News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
What time is it?
Don't worry about nothing. Just have a good time.
Make it fun.
Welcome to another edition of Boomtown Talk, where we talk about what's relevant to seniors.
I'm talking about you. As a matter of fact, I'm talking about all people everywhere.
This election is all about Medicare and Medicaid as far as I'm concerned. As I look at my parents who are in the twilight, the summer of their lives, it's very important that we get relevant information about what's happening with Medicare and Medicaid, because as a complete package, they're vitally important to a lot of people.
That's what's important, to feel useful in this old world.
Man, Patti LaBelle has been dropping the boom on a lot of people. I don't know what's going on. Well, actually, I do know what's going on. She's been having troubles, particularly with folks at hotels. Maybe the beds aren't right or something like that. But the reality actually is Patti is diabetic. So part of it has to do with those mood swings. And so, when you get those porters who don't, necessarily put the bags in the right place and the porters aren't giving her chocolate or candy, it gets a little, well.
You see what you did?
You kind of know what I mean. It gets pretty bad.
I live by the good book. Do unto others and turn the other cheek.
Welcome to Boomtown Talk right here on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. I am Jamie Dukes, and you heard a lot of me out there. I want to introduce you to the cast of characters that will join us.
Hold on, characters?
The cast of characters, my co-host T. Fox. How are you? Good to see you.
God, you're looking good.
Good. You hold your hands on your back like your back's bothering you. You all right?
No, I'm just...
Nana used to do that. I mean, so you all right? Yeah, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you, though. You're looking well. You're looking quite well. And then also my other co-host, we have Lee Lambert from Lee Lambert Cares. Good to see you, Lee.
Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I love those glasses. It's really kind of funky. I know you can't see that out there in Radio Land.
Yeah, they are kind of funky.
And Melinda Davis also, who joins us as well. And
Middays on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
It's Jerome and Jamie.
I'm Jerome Jurenovich. Join me and my main man, Jamie Dukes, weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
Have people who are a little bit older than me right now, but I'm a boomer. I'm in the last class of boomers, that me and Jamie Dukes. It's just something where I think we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be very informative. Tobias Tillman is going to join us, who is with the AARP, and we're going to talk about the fiscal cliff that's coming up because there's some relevant information there as well. But I want you, Melinda, first to start off by introducing yourself and letting everybody know exactly what you do. And because you are the director for the Center of Aging at the C.T. Vivian Leadership Institute, talk a little bit about what that entails.
Well, hi, Jamie.
Hello.
And I'm so glad that you have identified with the baby boomer generation.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to call you're in the part of keeping up with the Joneses.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm part of that generation, too.
So the last so you like 41, 42, is that what you said?
I'm actually 54.
Okay, looking good.
You're looking good.
Thank you. And to go with looking good, that's where the Center on Aging comes in, because at the C.T. Vivian Leadership Institute, what we are going to be exploring is what we can do to support new thought leadership.
I see.
Because with the aging tsunami, you're talking 77, almost to about 85 million.
That's a big word, T.
Ooh,
yes.
My.
That was a really big word, aging
you always
tsunami.
Have problems with those.
Yes. Right,
right.
Yeah. Aging tsunami, you were saying.
Aging tsunami. That's a huge wave of all of us
Mm-hmm.
baby boomers now coming of age, silver age. So what does that mean?
You said that 77 to 80?
77 million is,
wow.
right now is the total number.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. So it brings into perspective all the current debates on the fiscal cliff, Medicare, Medicaid.
Sure.
But we need new thought leadership because lifestyle management, healthier lifestyles, how do we support individuals to live in communities of their choice? What needs to happen locally, regionally, statewide, and nationally so that we can all age the way we want to age? Because
and aging doesn't necessarily have to mean that you can't live an active lifestyle still. I think that's in people's heads.
Exactly. When you say senior, everyone goes to the 85 and older range.
Middays on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
It's Jerome and Jamie.
I'm Jerome Jurenovich. Join me and my main man, Jamie Dukes, weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
you do. And talk a little bit about that before we go to break, about caregiving and some of the things that we'll be talking about this year.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm really glad to be here. After caregiving my father for about 15 years, he had Alzheimer's, I saw the need for developing a system for what to do and when to do it. So getting prepared for caregiving is the key. Being proactive will save time and money and stress in your family relationships. And it is just never too soon, never too early to have that conversation. All
right, well, when we come back, we're going to talk to Tobias Tillman, who is with the AARP. And we've been hearing a lot about this fiscal cliff. And for me, it sounds like somebody's going to drive a car with a bunch of money off the cliff. So when we get back on Boomtown Talk, we're going to talk to Tobias Tillman about exactly what the fiscal cliff means and then how important that is for seniors. So we'll be right back.
News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
I'm Jamie Dukes, retired NFL player and current NFL Network analyst. The diseases of excess weight are taking a toll on the brown community, which includes African Americans, Mexican, Latino, and individuals of Asian descent. That's why the AARP's multicultural outreach is taking the lead to provide you with relevant tools like Chatricize. You know the AARP is more than just discounts. Did you know the AARP has cutting-edge programs to help boomers take the first steps towards financial freedom? We can help you devise a strategy to manage your money, control your mortgage debt, control consumer debt, and give you the strategy to maintain healthy credit. Boomers, it's time to learn everything AARP has to offer. Log on to aarp.org and make that first step today.
News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Welcome back to Boomtown Talk, joined by T. Fox, Melinda Davis, and Lee Lambert. And we are proud to be joined with Tobias Tillman, who is with the AARP. And Tobias, first of all, welcome to Boomtown Talk. You are our very first guest.
Well, thank you.
So it's always good to see you. And Tobias and I, we are been friends a long time. We've been doing a lot of things in the community. So I thought it was very important that you join us on the very first show because of all the impact that you've had in this community. But we talked a little earlier about this fiscal cliff, and I wanted you to kind of go into detail. We're going to get into a multitude of different things. The way I hear the fiscal cliff, you take some money, put it in a VW Bug, and then you drive it off. Because what does the fiscal cliff mean?
Jamie, in layman's terms.
Thank you, because I'm real slow.
Okay.
Let's go. Appreciate that.
In layman's terms, if you have this analogy that you have this cliff in where our country is as it relates to the deficit, that there are some changes that must be made, and that goes to spending to address the deficit. The politicians are talking about those ways of making that deficit solvent before we go off.
Middays on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
It's Jerome and Jamie.
I'm Jerome Jurenovich. Join me and my main man, Jamie Dukes, weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
18 feet into the ocean on the side of. So okay, I think I get it.
Yes, and a lot of seniors are very concerned about the conversation and debate about raising the Medicare eligibility age. So I know you're going to share a lot with us today, but if you can touch that a little bit, because I know a lot of our listeners would like to know what that would mean.
Excellent. Right to that point, AARP had wanted to start a conversation called You've Earned a Say. And You've Earned a Say speaks directly to that issue as it relates to Medicare and Social Security, because we want to make sure that everyone understands that if you worked a day in your life, you've earned a say to have a conversation around Social Security and Medicare. So AARP is definitely in this conversation to try to protect the seniors who are collecting Social Security and participating in Medicare, but also not just them, the people that are going to be moving into that eligibility age. And so we want to make sure that conversation stays on the forefront of most people's tongues and minds.
So, Tobias, because of the sequestration and the reduced government funding that will impact senior programs that help them stay at home longer, this is going to force seniors to prematurely go into nursing homes, which is about 65% more. The additional cost ends up falling right back onto the taxpayers. So won't this make things worse instead of better?
That is most likely the case. And that is where AARP, as an advocate for seniors, want to make sure that your voice can be heard. And we want to make sure that you can reach out to us and make those concerns heard so we can bring that to your elected officials during our legislative session. Remember, that session is going to be beginning next year, right around the February timeframe. So you have an opportunity to have a conversation with your elected official. AARP has an event down at the Capitol called 3 Weeks at the Capitol that gives you the opportunity to speak to your elected official about those exact issues that they have to make a decision. They cut funding last year, and we want to be able to restore that funding this year. And we're going to need your help to do that.
We're talking to Tobias Tillman right here on Boomtown Talk on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. And talk a little bit about, because I know this is kind of time sensitive, Medicare, Medicaid expansion.
Well, the Medicaid expansion.
Medicaid expansion.
Yeah, Medicaid expansion, most people will remember as far as the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
That's the actual name, but some people
It's called Obamacare.
Obamacare.
Thank you, because I don't know what the heck he was talking about. But go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
That Affordable Care Act.
Yes.
We know Obamacare. We know all about Obamacare. Obama.
Well, you know that there were 12 states that looked at that piece of legislation that was law to see if it was unconstitutional. And the Supreme Court upheld that to say it was constitutional. But there was one piece of that, one component that was not kept in the same context in the way that the president had that stated, which was Medicaid. And so Medicaid was viewed as one thing that states could opt out as far as expansion. And so that is one of the things that we definitely need to talk about, because Georgia is ripe to expand Medicaid to cover a lot more Georgians.
So now, how does someone actually get involved? You said something about the event that you have at
3 weeks at the Capitol.
3 weeks at the Capitol, and that you should come and talk to your legislator. You said about that.
You get a room for the 3 weeks? How's that work?
Yeah.
So we get AARPs, is it a hotel?
I don't think you want to stay at the Capitol that long.
No? Okay.
No, it is all AARP sponsored, where we bring in Georgians from across the state that we pay to come in to have a conversation with their elected officials. We bus them in, we feed them, we give them a briefing as to some of the things that we're going to be talking about and tackling down at the Capitol. But this is an opportunity not just for those AARP members that we are bringing in on 3 weeks at the Capitol, but this is for that normal person who wants to speak to their elected official. We can help make that happen.
So it just gives them a platform in order to voice their concerns, and it's not necessarily the fact that something indeed that day or during that 3 weeks is going to happen. It's just a platform for folks to be able to express their concerns.
Well, a platform to help bring their elected official in front of their face to talk to directly.
Okay.
And Tobias, I also understand that Governor Deals has stated clearly that the state of Georgia will not develop its own health exchange. So what does that mean for all of the Georgians that are currently uninsured?
Well, that just means that the state is not going to take on that responsibility. A health exchange will still be available come October of 2013. It just means that it'll be managed by the federal government. And the state did not elect to manage that themselves.
And can that change?
We'll have to see. We have to wait for open enrollment to begin in October and see exactly where we're going to be.
Let me ask you this, because there's a lot of things that are going on here, and sometimes people get confused. From a standpoint of the Medicaid expansion, what from a time sensitive basis, or what action items need to be taken right this very moment?
Well, during the legislative session, this upcoming legislative session, a decision will have to be made from the elected official and the governor as to what we're going to do with expanding Medicaid. In 2011.
But is it? Let me ask you this way then: is that just a governor decision? What we're saying, or is it a legislative? Is it? And I guess my question is how do people get involved to take action if action?
Middays on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
It's Jerome and Jamie.
I'm Jerome Jurenovich. Join me and my main man, Jamie Dukes, weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
They express that to their elected official. Their elected official will work to put together a piece of legislation to be presented to the governor as it relates to Medicaid expansion.
Tobias, does AARP have speaking points or a website that people can go to get some speaking points?
Definitely. If you go to www.aarp.org/GA, that information will be there. We have fact sheets that are available from the Georgia Public Budget Institute. and they have a lot of information as it relates to Georgia and how Medicaid expansion will benefit this state with about close to $8 billion.
8, like with a B?
With a B, not an M.
Like Brinks truck, B.
Yeah, B.
Well.
Oh, Brinks truck.
Tobias, can you tell us about the Older Americans Act?
The Older Americans Act.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want me to tell you about it?
Well, I just want you to explain it a little bit to us.
Well, the older American. Well, before I answer that, the one thing I want to make sure that the listening audience understand, because before we pivot to that, is, when we talk about Medicaid expansion, I stated that there's going to be close to it's about $7.9 billion that'll be brought to the state of Georgia from the federal government. The Georgia Public Budget Institute has estimated the cost of the state will be about $253 million. That $253 million compared to the $7.9 billion that will be brought to the state over the first 3 years.
Wow.
That is a big difference. And that's something I want to make sure that the listening audience understand, that they can be part of, because that is extremely important.
And so you were asking about the Affordable Older Americans Act. What aspect of it?
Well, they were talking about that the Congress might vote on to reauthorize that this year. And that is covering Meals on Wheels and some of the other programs for seniors. And I just wondered if, your thoughts about that.
Well, AARP, of course, we're a big advocacy organization, and that is one of the biggest things about us. We're going to be tackling that in the legislative session to address that issue as it pertains to Georgians. But when we look at the federal legislation, we also have those individuals that will be talking about that at the Capitol in D.C. as well.
So real quickly, before we go, I appreciate you joining us. So again, how can people reach out? What sites or information?
They can go to www.aarp.org/Georgia, or they can call 1-888-OUR-AARP and get that information that they need.
Tobias, we appreciate you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again. We know we'll do a lot with you. And again, from the Put Up Your Dukes Foundation perspective, all the things that you guys have been doing in partnership with us, we really appreciate your efforts.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the time.
When we come back, we're going to put a wrap on this show. Boomtown Talk. We're having a good time, and we appreciate Tobias joining us. And we'll be back to put a little button on it when we get back.
News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Do you have questions about how to manage your weight problem? Do you just want to lose 20 pounds? Do you need to lose 100 pounds? I'm Dr. Braxton Cosby, and I want to tell you about AskTheFactDoctors.com. Log on and submit your excess weight-related questions, and we will guide you to the right weight management solution to get the job done. For those of you who are battling diseases like sleep apnea, breast and prostate cancer, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and other comorbidities, the truth is, excess weight is in many cases a contributing factor. AskTheFatDoctors.com wants to help you. We've assembled an army of the best doctors in the world to get you the answers you need to get that weight off, which may be hampering your quality of life. At AskTheFatDoctors.com, privacy is our motto. Your questions will be submitted in a secure environment, and we will respond directly to you. You have our word on that. So log on to AskTheFatDoctors.com and find the solutions you need to get that excess weight off and fight the diseases of excess weight.
News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Hey, and we're back here with Boomtown Talk. This is T. Fox along with Jamie Dukes, along with Miss Lee, and along with Miss Melinda. So we want to thank Tobias Tillman for joining us just during the last segment. Gave us a lot of great information. I want to make sure that you guys know how to retrieve that information. You can simply go to aarp.org, or you can dial 888-687-2277, or you can just remember 888-OUR-AARP. So now we're going to go into something a little fun.
Yeah, keep it up with the Joneses, we call it.
Keep it up with the Joneses and ways to stay young, right? That's what we're going to do this time around. And I think Ways to stay young is always a good topic and topic of discussion and interest.
Yeah, well, but we think about it. I mean, and I know T, because you're 27, that you're not as seasoned as some of us older folks. But some of the tips that I saw a great article talking about it. Number one way to stay young is to kind of mingle with young people. Now, Lee, is that?
Well, hold on, Jamie. Now I saw that, Miss Lee, Miss Melinda. I saw young, mingling with folks younger. You don't have to mingle with folks necessarily that's younger than you to stay young. It's just a matter of socializing and making.
Well, don't tell them what they're doing.
Well, no, I mean, that's a question. That's a question.
Well, mingle. We have to also deal with the fact that we outlive men.
Right.
So when we're talking about mingling, we want to,
you're talking about
the cougar
mingling.
side.
Let's just say what it is. Let's date younger men.
Yes.
That'll keep you young.
Oh,
Is that-
that's what that means.
That's exactly what that means.
Okay, see, I'm sorry, I was on something different.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Tip number 2 is kind of get out and about. Just be out, do something, have some fun.
Be out and about, like just taking a walk, just going to the park, doing things like that, going shopping.
Going shopping, getting together with your girlfriends, taking your grandkids out, just making sure you're not just staying at home looking at television.
Sure.
Get out and about.
Now the other thing, because I have a proud, youthful 88-year-old grandmother.
All right.
Okay. And she just told me for the first time last month on her birthday how old she was. I never knew how old my grandmother was. So she shared with me that she's 88 years old and she's sharp. She's sharp. So I know that keeping the mind active, like doing crossword puzzles and what are some of the things?
Sudoku. There are a lot of brain
board
fitness.
games,
Yeah,
reading and things like that. Is
Keeping your brain engaged
But number
and your heart
3
open keeps
is
you young.
one that can do that. But I don't think that many of our constituency, shall we say, is willing to do that. And that's to stay active with social media.
Yes.
Staying current.
As my father says, the tweet.
Well, my mama calls it the Facebook.
My uncle is 88 years old, and he is on social media.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
In fact, so many of the grandparents are in social media now because they want to keep up with their grandkids and what they're
that's
doing.
interesting. Okay. Well, I told you my grandma's 88. Who was that? Was 88 years old?
My uncle, he is
uncle.
he is 88.
Okay,
actually,
he may
too.
need to meet my grandmother.
Well, he's married.
That sounds
Okay, well,
He's married.
Well, that hadn't stopped a lot of other people. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't even say that. I mean, what I'm saying, it hadn't stopped
You have
some.
to talk to my aunt about that.
It hadn't stopped some.
No.
But the last one is an interesting one. I think we all know this one, and it's stay active. And so, that's one of the reasons why we created Chatricize as a tool and other things that are fun tools, because I think the active part is easy to say, but the reality is it's got to be something that's fun.
And it's actually everyday movement. A lot of people like to garden, so that's keep your gardening skills up.
Wait.
Well,
You're talking about people our age. Okay. I get confused sometimes because I know the young people don't know what gardening is.
Well,
that's
now
a movie.
that's different. And I have to really give kudos to our First Lady, Michelle Obama, because now you have families wanting to eat healthy, so we're back into gardening.
Well, that was the other 2 things I was going to just mention about staying young, about eating healthy. Lots of green leafy vegetables and the green teas and stuff like that. And then secondly, meditation. Isn't that good also as a part of
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But Lee, I get the sense that Lee is meditating on them younger men because Lee's single.
No, Lee just came.
Hey, I'm the only one here who's single.
And social media.
Oh, no,
T's single also. So I got a feeling that it's a little bit more than that. Just staying active and healthy lifestyles. But anyway, we've had a great show. We're going to be here every Saturday morning. So we'll talk about a lot of different things and interesting things that are, as we say, are important to folks over 50. That's what Boomtown Talk is all about.
And speaking of social media and staying on social media, actually, whoever's listening to Boomtown Talk can also engage.
Middays on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
It's Jerome and Jamie.
I'm Jerome Jurenovich. Join me and my main man, Jamie Dukes, weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game.
And Jamie, I have some great jokes about getting old, but they're not about getting old. It's about getting better. But I got to bring a couple of jokes next week, okay?
Absolutely.
Well, that's going to do it. We appreciate you joining us for Lee, Melinda, and T-Fox. We will catch you next week.
And Melinda, you bring those jokes next week.
I will, most definitely.
News and Talk 1380 WAOK.